Exclusive.
RedEye, this is Matt.
Bob Saget, Matt. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Not a problem, Bob. How's it going?
I feel bad being late. Now, I've got every good excuse in the world. I got in late last night from New York after 3 months in Broadway. It's pouring, raining. My phone lines are dead. My car battery was dead on one of my cars. And it's got to be something else. I was late on my last interview. That's the other one.
Ah, well, we forgive
So
you.
there you go. And my dog ate my homework, but then there was an alligator in my yard that ate my dog. So it's just, the whole thing's all fucked up.
Now I'm not sure I believe you.
How's your life there?
It's pretty good. You know, this time of year in Chicago is usually pretty miserable, so comparably it's
right.
not
Is
too
it
bad.
freezing? Is it raining?
No, it's just kind of gray and bland. Where are you talking to me from?
I'm in L.A. Yesterday, for the past couple months, I've been in New York. I was on Broadway in this Hand of God, this great play. And I got to do that and play a Lutheran minister. So it's the opposite of my stand-up, which means I am literally like Tasmanian devil about to be unleashed on Thalia Hall. So
Yeah, it's awesome that you're going to be here and doing a show in the suburbs first and then in the city too. I know I've read that you do a lot of crowd work in your act. How much do you find that the way you approach that varies in different settings, whether it's kind of suburbs versus city or different locations?
Well, no, it's just in the moment. Or it's also where I'm at in my working on stand-up. Right now, the reason I did this play for 3 months. It took me off of a stand-up route. I did a couple of TV things. One of them is Stamos' show, The Grandfather, and I'm on that on January 12th. I'm on that playing his friend, kind of like an Entourage character for me, where I'm trying to get him to go to the dark side, get out there and do nasty stuff and debauchery with me instead of being a grandfather and his father, and give up all that. Let's go out and have a nice night as men in the Sat Pack instead of the Rat Pack. It's like guys that go out over 50 or over 45 on a Saturday night looking for I don't know what. But if for me, I've been holding in a lot and going up and doing stand-up just like 3 times when I was in New York. I would go in with my friend Jeff Ross. The cast of Hand of God came and saw me. I'd go with my daughters, would come and see it. And it's a work in progress. I've got a lot of new stuff that I'll be feathering in to the show, a lot of new material. And I do crowd work when it feels appropriate. And then sometimes, it's not crowd work. I don't even look at it as that. People do have and it definitely is a term for it. But I just look at it as like a town meeting, So I have stuff that I want to say. I'm in a stand-up mode right now, so there might be a good 20 minutes where I don't really talk to anybody, but they're there, and we're having an exchange. And then I do like to find out about people, especially if they make themselves known, but not if they are disruptive. That's different. But my crowd work is that the audience consider me to be like a friend, and that's or their funny weird uncle or their dad they wish they had because their dad didn't crack a bunch of dick jokes.
Yeah. Well, something I was going to ask you was what you think. I feel like a lot of people are familiar with that term. Dad jokes has a particular implication to that. Do you feel that tends to be accurate with most dads who aren't you?
My dad was irreverent. So my dad, because we had everybody was dying every year. It was pretty terrible. So my dad's sense of humor was really skewed. So we had a lot of gallows humor and a lot of death humor, and my mom, even though she was kind of a straight man, because she was a man and she was straight, but she that's nice. Let's see, I'm gonna write that down. Hold on. I'm not even kidding. I'm writing it down. And it's about my mom, so that's good. But I mean, a lot of people's dads do goofy jokes, and I do them as well. And I really, puns are the basis of a lot of humor. And people will watch a comedian and go, "Oh, that's my favorite comedian. That's my favorite comedian." And some of my favorite comedians are everybody's. You know, I mean, Chris Rock, Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle. I mean, you know, there's a list of people that Bill Burr is one of my faves. You know, there's certain people that you just I just saw Michael Che just did a benefit for me in New York, and you know, there's people that are just they're just the shit. And then sometimes you'll watch your favorite comedian, you don't even realize that a pun was feathered into it, but it wasn't done as a civilian father does it, which is, or as I did it on that video show, which is there's no other way if you're going to host a blooper show, unless you're just going to say, you know, look out for your nads, you know, I don't know what you're going to do. So puns are a part of all comedy. Groucho was a huge punster. I actually tweeted the other day, people who don't believe in puns should be punished. And I didn't get a lot of shit for it, actually. People were like, you go, Bob, you know, because the rest of the time, I use my viral mediums to do all sorts of humor. I don't just choose one kind of brand. I do like being on Full House again. I do like, even though I'm only on it a couple times, and it's with a legacy cast, and I do like doing irreverent stuff. I just did a movie called A Stand-Up Guy, which is coming out February 9th, and that thing is I play a guy who's a country western singer, and all he sings about is being a stalker. So I mean, you know, these are two different sides of the spectrum, and I don't like just doing something and people going, that's what you do. And that's what happened with Full House. Some people thought, so you're not Danny Tanner, I can't deal with this. It's like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, it's like I think they thought I was Fred Rogers. They thought I was Mr. Rogers or something, where you just have one personality and you're only one guy or one woman or whatever. But I definitely love all facets of what I get to do and what I'm going to get to do in the upcoming years before before I'm 100 and they put me in a freeze-dried coffee can.
Yeah, does it kind of blow your mind that people still I'm amazed that even in some stories still written about you, people are still kind of making the distinction that you are not Danny Tanner, and that, like, do you at some point do you sort of get tired of having to make sure people are aware of that?
No, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I just find it odd that people don't understand what acting is. You know, I think if a person thinks that if someone's acting in something that's what they're like, then that person has some DNA missing, because that's acting. If you're on a reality show, I guess that's what you're like, kind of. But if you're actually acting, I mean, I just played a Lutheran minister who doesn't curse and who is from Texas in a small town. And if that's what I'd played for 8 years on a show, I guess people would say, what do you mean you're not the Lutheran minister we got to know? But I played a character which was drawing upon my most earnest self, my most loving of my children's self, which was pretty accurate because as the show progressed, I ended up with 3 daughters, and I love them more than life itself. So you draw upon that to play a guy like Danny Tanner, but Danny Tanner, as even saying it's funny, is a two-dimensional character on a kid's show, a family show you get to watch with your family, which is a gift because that's why it's back, because there aren't shows that you want to watch with your family. These are 15 episodes on Netflix that I believe people are going to watch all together, and there's going to be all different ways they're going to watch. Some people are going to have popcorn. Some people are going to have drinking games. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think it's going to satisfy some people.
Yeah, it's sort of refreshing and surprising that it seems like Netflix is sticking it with kind of the former aim and the approach of the show, as opposed to, you know, something like The Muppets has been revamped as this more adult kind of multi-camera situation.
It's nice. It is multi-camera. It's a live studio audience. Netflix has never done that, and it's exciting, and it's very cool because television is different, and it's actually providing a product people want. There's no commercials, so if you really like the show, there's no interruptions to find out what happens next. but it's still Full House, and that was what it was. It was a kinder, gentler time. It's done in a contemporary way. I think they did a pretty clever job of how they did it.
If someone had
And,
if someone had tried to do like propose a fouler version of Full House, like Danny
Well,
goes
I
into
wanted-
his car
years
and
ago, I
finds a
wanted to-
dead hooker, like would
Yeah. That's too severe. But I wanted to do a PG-13 version where Danny's just drunk in the living room and can't figure out his life, and where, of course, whatever I wanted to do would revolve around Danny's problem. But this is such a nice, respectful way that it's all happening, and it does nothing but serve my comedy and Dave's comedy and whatever all of us want to do. It's just something, and the show is really for Candace and Jody and Andrea. It's about them, and that's what's so wonderful about it. It's about a new generation of people. It's not done in a cheesy way. It's done in a but it is Full House, so it wasn't. Full House was not popular the first few years. People did not like it. I remember a lot of hatred, and I remember a lot of love because ABC was so good to us. They put us on twice a week to try to get it moving. But now it's become iconic for people, and I'm extremely proud of the whole damn thing. So, and then I'll come to Chicago and I'll get out. It's not like I'm a different person when I go there. It's the same guy. It'll kind of be like the guy you're talking to on the phone, except my congestion will be gone. And I'm excited as hell to play. And then I come from Detroit the night before, where I haven't been in a couple of years, and I'm real excited to play there. I used to play there a lot, and Chicago is literally one of my favorite towns to go to on this earth. I can't remember all the things I've done. I've done so many gigs there, and I've spent so much time there. I just love it. And then the next night it's like, I guess it's 2 hours away, Crystal Lake, which I understand there's a princess living in it, but there's a Rao Entertainment Center I'm playing the next night, and then I come back to LA for a little bit, and then I'm gonna really work hard on new material. So my goal right now is to do a new special around May. So that would be I've done 3 specials, but I only really say I've done 2 because I don't want anyone to find the first one. But so this would be the third in the fabulous collection of my stand-up. But I just want to have a lot of stuff to talk about, and a lot of stuff that I find funny right now, and I hope you do as well. And I really do love the relationship that I have with audiences now, and it's really cool. I mean, Rodney Dangerfield was a good friend of mine, and I actually officiated his funeral. And he was 58 when he got in the movie Caddyshack. That's how old he was, and he had a 30-year career after that. So that's just pretty. Well, not really. He had a 25-year career after that because he died. So I can't add time onto someone once they pass away. But he was hilarious, and he had a lot of young fans at 58 years old. He'd had 20-year-old fans going, "Hey, Rodney," and not that I profess to say that I'm like him, but he influenced me.
Mm-hmm.
And so did Richard Pryor, who I got to know a little bit. And so did everybody. So did George Carlin. There isn't anybody that I wasn't influenced by that wasn't amazing. And so I kind of do a combo platter of what I find funny. Don Rickles is one of my heroes. And so when you bring up crowd work, he's like a dad to me. He's one of the most special people in my life. So.
Sure. A few years ago, I interviewed Elizabeth Olsen, who had mentioned that she spent a lot of time hanging out on the Full House set when she was a kid, and she told me John Stamos was her first crush. And then cut to a little while later, she's on a late-night talk show saying that someone had sent that interview to John, and he confronted her about that. Was there any point since in the last decades since Full House was on that you heard about something from the old days that surprised you, or just something like that kind of surprised you that made it all come back?
Well, I have been surprised to hear that pretty much everybody loved the damn show, and I didn't know that. So it was a surprise to me, and everybody really did. and in some ways, I can't believe I'm as old as I am. I mean, it's shocking to me that I'm 59. I feel like I'm 45 or something, but I am what I am, and I just I don't know. It's really weird because I relate pretty well to people in their 20s and 30s and 40s, but a lot of people my own age tend to feel like life has passed them by, or get sad, and I love actually when I do a show and I see 20-year-olds and I see 60-year-olds in the audience, and the 60-year-old couple is there and they're together and they're laughing at different stuff than the 20-year-old. It's just a real gift to be able to make people to laugh. You know, it's impossible to explain except to someone that gets to do it. And it's selfish too, because it's craft and you're working on stuff. It's like, damn, if I could just get that to work. I really like that subject, but it's not hitting. What can I do? And then the only way to do it is to go up all the time. So you got to go up and work it out. But yeah, I'm not surprised by your question 40 minutes ago. Sorry, people ask me. Stamos is like, don't ask Bob how he is. It's a 40-minute answer. You know?
Do you ever wonder if you would have gotten the job originally if Twitter had existed back then?
I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it is what it is. I'm happy it's now, because I mean, even doing this Broadway play was a life changer for me. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. If you ever get a chance to see it, if they bring it back, I mean, I'd love to do it in L.A. or San Francisco. It's a big play. It's hand to God. But the thrill for me is walking out of the stage door and people are there. And usually you don't go and stand and do a meet and greet for 20 minutes, but it just felt good to see all these people, and they were so happy and so appreciative, and they're all, I can't wait for Full House, and I love your stand-up, and it's just, here, sign the book, you know, it's a very, very nice feeling to have things from all different facets of what you've put out there come back to you and be appreciated. And it's surprising sometimes, because it wasn't always, you know, if it wasn't all flowers and it's easy to look on Twitter and see hate and you just block it, because I don't need any more hate. I've had enough of that in my life. So.
Another very funny person, Sarah Silverman, recently said that to a degree, some things have changed in what she finds funny over the years. Certain approaches that she's not taking in her stand-up anymore. Has anything, you know, you've talked about long being interested in...
a lot of things changed.
A lot has changed in what you find funny?
A lot of things in what I find funny, and a lot of things that you can do in where we're at right now, because so many bad things have happened to people that some of the jokes we used to joke about were not prevalent, or we didn't know they were prevalent. And it had to do with abuse, and it had to do with people hurting other people, and it had to do with, you know, saying the R word. You know, there are things that have just changed, and they can be funny in a room of people, but they're not funny on a talk show. They're not funny in a book. They're not funny in a stand-up venue or stand-up special, because at the current time we're in a sensitive place when it comes to how women are treated, how children are treated, how much mental illness there is. It's just everything changes, and we have to stay relevant with what's appropriate. And yet, I want to say the wrong thing, and so you find those new boundaries of where are we this week, and what would be the right thing to say. And you know, there's many people that it's very easy for me to sit down and come up with, you know, upsetting humor that's dark and edgy and criticizes something that we just read about in the news. But it's so painful what's going on, and the world is so on its toes with, we're on pins and needles because there's crazy people out there, and so I more than ever want to just deal with what we're all dealing with and talk about what we're all talking about, which is mostly pharmaceuticals over the counter.
Well, I think that's such a great way to put it, because there certainly have been some comedians who are sort of taking issue with what they consider a PC culture and frustration of what you supposedly can and can't say anymore. But I feel like what you're saying is, it sounds to me more like, you can either complain about the way things have changed, or you can assess the way that the culture is different and figure out what is funny now and just accept that a joke that's funny 20 years ago isn't automatically going to be funny today.
Right, and you can still be edgy. You can do the same amount of edge. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't cut your balls off. Freedom of speech isn't gone. It's just you can have all the freedom of speech you want, but if you want to do a bunch of misogynistic jokes and go back to the time that was 30 years ago, it just doesn't really track. It does sometimes by a brilliant person who knows what they're doing, where they're almost making fun of it. I'm just not right now. It's so weird. I'm so much in the entertainment. I guess I'm a personality type comedian is what I would. I'm someone defined me as that the other day. Some interviewer person I was talking to, and I guess that's true. I mean, when people spend their time with me, when I do Thalia Hall, is it named after someone?
It does have a long history that, of course, I'm blanking on right now.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care. What's interesting, yeah, it's an old building, right?
Yeah.
Cool. But it's there's no need. There's nothing I like more than watching John Oliver, or Bill Maher get a crowd riled up. I really miss Jon Stewart. Everybody that's doing the shows now, Larry Wilmore's an old friend of mine. I mean, Stephen Colbert's brilliant. I mean, but not tackling things in the same way because it's not that kind of show now. So, but I respect so people that are putting it right in their face of, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Comparing this to that is like saying blank, I really, I just love the hypocrisy being thrown in people's faces by a stand-up comedian or a comedian or a satirist. And I occasionally do that, but not really. Most of my stuff is it's not superficial. It's becoming more just real, I think, and more psychological. And I'm not preaching. But I do a bit of a PSA about telling people not to, take Viagra and Rufinol at the same time, things like that.
Before we run out of time,
trying to help the young people.
That's good of you, Bob. Before we run out of time, I just wanted to do a couple kind of fun, quick ones.
Go ahead.
How do you compare Danny Tanner and Ted Mosby as fathers?
They're both romantic. Romantic meaning they do. The reason both of those characters are lovable is because they are good men who want romance to exist. Danny Tanner had a girlfriend for a while. Ted Mosby had a couple of girlfriends. I really love Judge Wapner. I really love Josh Radnor. Actually, at my play, the very first night I got on stage, he came to it. I'm like, here's my very first show. He says, the only chance I get to see it. He is just a genuinely good man. And the character he played was a commercial character in a show that was a love letter every week. And a really sweet show. And they're both just good men that want the most. We don't know if Ted can reproduce, but oh yes, he can. What am I talking about? You got to back this tape up. Ted's a really good father, but Danny would have never had waited 20 years to tell them how he met their mother. he would have probably told him right away because Danny, I think, was fairly talkative.
I don't know if Danny would have been friends with a guy like Barney either.
Oh God, he had Uncle Jesse in the house. Of course he was.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Barney was a player, and so was Jesse. I mean, Jesse before he got Becky, he was quite out there.
which is less accurate to reality? The depiction of strip clubs on How I Met Your Mother, or the depiction of Bob Saget on Entourage?
Well, I don't go to strip clubs, but I have been in one before. I've been in a couple, but only because I wanted to put those girls through school. I don't know. I guess the Entourage thing. There was a time, and it's in my book, where it was about a 10-year period there where I was divorced. I've been divorced for 20 years, and I did some crazy LA stuff. So I would say I'm not as mean a character and selfish and stupid LA superficial as the character I chose and Doug Ellen wrote for me in Entourage. And How I Met Your Mother was a pretty innocuous way to do strip clubs. I think if I had to vote between the two and I was on a game show, I guess it's more accurate of the How I Met Your Mother treatment. But I still wasn't Barney-like either. I was more Josh-like. I was more Ted Mosby.
And lastly, if you're able to say, of course, people know that the Olsen twins are not going to be on Fuller House. Does the show acknowledge like what happened to Michelle or where she is? There are many shows from
top secret. Can't tell. You'll just have to watch the first episode.
I was gonna say a lot of shows from my childhood. Characters just vanished.
But I guess I'm the luckiest person in the world because I wouldn't say I was a fan of Full House. I mean, I was on the damn show, so I just loved everybody on it. So I guess I'm a lucky man because I get to be friends with everybody. So that's what I'm. Yeah, so that they're not out of. You can't always get what you want. The Rolling Stones said that. but yeah, you'll find out. There is something, I guess, that intimates it.
Now, whenever I hear that song, I'm going to think about Full House.
Yes, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you get what you need.
Thanks so much for your time, Bob. I really appreciate it.